Yes, you read the title right. Sonic Heroes is a role-playing game. And not only am I going to tell you why it's a role-playing game, you're also going to get all the thoughts and things I have on this game, because let me tell you, I have a bit of history with this game. And you're going to get every little piece of it. But first we need to define what is a role-playing game. Now you're going to get a lot of varying definitions, but the main gist everybody agrees upon is that it's a game where you assume the role of a character and play as that character in an imaginary world with a story. But that's just every game though, right? Now, hold on. When we're talking in the sense of video games, we need to narrow it down a little bit. Most video games known for being RPGs involve some sort of progression system where characters have stats that level up and increase as you go on. Not every RPG does this, but many RPGs have multiple characters the player has to manipulate as each one plays a specific role in the narrative and game design. And wouldn't you know it, Sonic Heroes has both of those things. This realization came to me after stumbling upon a random short complaining about how the game's level up progression system sucks because the game design itself sucks. But this prompted a spark, a hyperfixation, a realization that despite having quite a history with this game, I've never actually played it through. And I wanted to fix that. However, this game is well known for being weird, janky, and unpolished as hell. So when I wanted to research what quality of life mods existed for this game, I knew I was gonna have to choose between either the GameCube, PlayStation 2, or original Xbox version of the game. And the verdict was none of the above. This game came out on PC? Yes, the forgotten 2004 Windows PC version of Sonic Heroes that Sega clearly doesn't want anybody to remember. Then again, outside of Generations, I don't think Sega wants anybody to remember this game in general. This version is where the surprisingly active modding scene has worked tirelessly on making the most decent version of this game. I say most decent and not best cause, well, it's Sonic Heroes. After following this guide from Officially SP, which nowadays the first half of it is still very helpful, I got the game installed, configured the settings through the launcher, hit play game, and nothing. Well, this is a crap game anyways. I'm going back to Final Fantasy XIV. You're going to troubleshoot this and get it working, whether you like it or not. It turns out the issue was something related to the DRM only being compatible with older versions of Windows, blah blah blah, DRM suck anyways. So instead we replaced the executable with this cracked version I pulled out of Don't Ask, and clicked play game and... oh my god, it's actually real. The menu, the music, it's all coming back to me, taking me back to the good old days of playing this as a kid, not having to worry about stupid adult things like taxes, or a job, or taxes. Despite also having a GameCube growing up, my family owned the PS2 version of this game, aka the worst version of the game. And while I played a good bit of it as a kid, I never got very far in the story. And I mean, like, could you really expect 5-year-old me to understand this janky-ass game? But eventually my parents sold or gave away the game when our PS2 became obsolete because, my dumbass dissected our PS2 to try to use its parts to build a PC. You know, it would have been actually feasible to turn it into a computer had I known the proper way of doing it, but I was a little bit stupid. But just because the game's on PC doesn't make it any less privy to the issues that generally plague this game. After fixing a missing sound, replacing the cutscenes and audio with the high quality versions from the Xbox port, cause that one's special or something, adding widescreen support, enhancing the character models, giving the game high quality textures, adding actual controller support, restoring a broken texture, making the rain smoother, fixing the dialogue volume variance, turning the rings HD, and a bunch of other various fixes done via hex editing. Holy crap, this game needs help, jeez! But with all of that, the game goes from looking like this to looking like this. Still a crap game though. As I was testing the game for any issues with the mods and fixes, something stood out to me that just didn't feel right, especially when compared to the other ports of this game. Why is the camera so close? And after messing with the mods to see if any of them were causing this to happen, I concluded that, nope. This is an issue with the vanilla base game. Hopefully this issue doesn't grow exponentially worse as I continue to play through this game. But enough chatter about setting up the game. Time to actually play the game. One Sonic Heroes playthrough later. That was both the greatest and worst experience of my life. Team Sonic's route was a bit challenging and where I encountered quite a bit of BS. Team Rose's route was less challenging and a relief with shorter levels, but wasn't without its own BS. Team Dark's route was more BS than actual challenge, and Team Chaotix was very mixed. Some levels were fairly straightforward, others were kinda annoying to get through, and some others were just full of BS. In short, this game has a lot of BS. But I think where the most BS occurred is, well, let me show you. Anyways, the camera work in this game is atrocious. The automatic camera option spazzes out way too often and won't allow you to readjust, while the free camera option is too free and simply does not adapt to the constant movement throughout the course. The camera alone contributed to the majority of the BS in this game, and it sucked to deal with. But it wasn't the only source of BS, as it also showed up in the process of collecting the 7 Chaos Emeralds to gain access to the last story and actually beat the game. The first 5 Chaos Emeralds, I used Team Rose to get them as their levels are shorter and easier, and I had little to no issues snagging them. The 6th Chaos Emerald, okay, I did manage to get this one as a bit harder. But the 7th Chaos Emerald was all BS, nothing to gain. Since the game doesn't allow you to just replay the special stages to get the emeralds, you have to go through the entire prior stage, get the key, get to the end, and then try to get the emerald. But after attempt, after attempt, after attempt, after attempt, I could not get it. And it didn't help that any guide I looked up worked well for the console versions, but not for the PC version. In fact, I couldn't find a single guide on how to get it in the PC version. Damn, Sega actually did a good job at making people forget the PC version existed. And after hours of trying and failing over and over, it was time to take matters into my own hands. But is it really cheating if your opponent is the spawn of Satan? And then I beat last story, and it was over. I had finally beaten this game from my childhood, 18 years later. Was it worth it? Not really. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. But in the end, sometimes it's the journey that matters, and while it was filled with strife, frustration, and pain, I pushed through it, and I came out standing on top. So no matter what, if you're going through a painful time, always remember there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. You're gonna make it. Believe that you can and you will. Wait, crap, I was supposed to be talking about how this game is an RPG. So yeah, you can level up your guys as you go through the levels and defeat enemies, but you'll lose all that when you die. And like I said before, the levels are all based around using each of the 3 characters' abilities when appropriate. Definitely not your conventional 3D Sonic gameplay. Also, the bad guy turns into a gigantic mecha dragon in the end that you have to fight in the sky. If that doesn't give big JRPG vibes, I don't know what does. And yeah, that's about it. Please believe me when I say there was actually a genuine idea here and not some cheap excuse to play through a childhood game of mine I never got the chance to finish. Then again, with all the pain and suffering I endured with this game, who's a real sucker here?